Okay, so it's 7:05 and we have reached quorum. So we will get started. Good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Seamus Campbell. I am the chair of the 52nd Democratic Assembly District Committee, calling this meeting to order at 7:05. Hope everyone had a nice long weekend. Hope everyone's doing well. So we're just gonna get started with things. I hope to try to have this meeting go as fast as possible, but no promises. So I'll just get started with a quick chair report so everyone knows like what's been going on. First and foremost, we are certified now with Kings County Democratic Committee. We had to send in some paperwork and all that to them and the Board of Elections. For the sake of transparency, I'll tell you that there was a situation wherein the executive director of the county party originally was saying that there was an issue and that our reorganizational meeting back in October happened too late. However, I was able not speaking, please mute yourself. There was a situation I was able to point to precedent from our previous reorganizational meeting in 2021, which happened on May 21st. The previous county reorganizational meeting didn't adjourn until December 24th, 2020. So it also happened beyond the 10 days that they were saying we had to happen. So that took care of the situation there. As probably everyone saw, within about 2 days after being elected, I did send out a survey to the entire membership asking for feedback on ways for collaboration and communication within this committee. Additionally, asking for like best times for meeting. And so Tuesday was actually the big winner of that. So hence for us meeting this evening, and also us meeting this evening because I want to make sure we did it before petitioning started, and that report starts next week. I'll mention that in 1 second. I did help us have all the committees meet or try to have them meet so they could choose chairs and get started with their business. I know some of them have been meeting regularly. And if anyone has any questions or concerns, we'll be getting to committee reports in a bit. And then if anyone wants to try to join one of the committees, please reach out to me offline, and I will put the email in chat. I did set up an email for the ADC. It's adc52brooklyn@gmail.com. So I'll put that in the chat. At gmail.com. So if anyone has any questions, concerns, ideas, shoot us a line. And also because I do try to make it trying to have this committee be as transparent as possible. I'm having this meeting and also all of our committee meetings. I'm trying to have them all recorded so people can see what everyone's up to. It's this way, like everyone can see that, we're not trying to do things in a vacuum, and we are trying to solicit feedback from others. So we do have a YouTube. It's at ADC52 Brooklyn on YouTube. Or you can just search for it and find it. Of course, we do have a MailChimp as well, since most of you got the email that way. And if anyone has not been getting the emails, please just let me know and I'll add you. And then, of course, as I mentioned, petitioning starts next Tuesday. If the two people that you may want to talk to are Nick over at Rep Your Block, reach out to him. It's info@repurblock.com. I'll put that in the chat. And then additionally, you can also reach out to Susanna Pasquantonio. I'll allow her to put her information in the chat if anyone is interested in running again for county committee or has any questions about the petitioning process. Any questions, concerns, comments? Oh, yeah, Hal?
I heard that petitioning might start later because not all the lines have been properly redrawn. Can you comment on that?
I know as much as you do. If the lines get changed, I will certainly send out information to all the members of the ADC, and then I will try to make sure And I'll also make sure IND sends it out, and I'll probably talk with our friends at Rep Your Block as well to make sure that they're made aware as well. But I have not heard. I've heard only the rumor.
Okay, thank you.
As far as I've heard, for county committee, it should be basically the same. It's just the congressional districts that are being revisited.
Any other questions, comments? If anyone also, if you have any things, it's just easier with the Zoom hand because you'll come to the top because we have 44 people on. Okay. I'm not hearing anything. So with that, we would go to vice chair report, but our vice chair, Alyssa, has told me she has nothing to report. With secretary's report, our secretary, Lou DiMeglio, is double booked this evening. He had a personal emergency. So I'm just gonna go for him. We have the minutes from our previous meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Hal Friedman, seconded by John Crutchfeld. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Victoria Eastis, seconded by Hal Friedman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Treasurer's report. Vicky, you have anything?
Nope.
Okay,
Nothing happened.
perfect. Sergeant Arms report. Steve, anything? You can't hear you, Steve. I think he's putting what he was going to say in the chat. Hang tight for a moment, I guess. Okay, so everything is good according to Steve. Awesome. Okay, so now we're up to district leader reports. Lydia, would you like to go?
Sure. I guess the most recent thing that happened was that the executive committee, all the district leaders, met last week to vote on who we were going to endorse for civil court seats. But it was a little bit complicated because the party had messed up and thought that there was only one open seat, and it turned out there were three because they forgot to check the ages of some of the judges. So then the district leaders didn't get information about all of the candidates until like only a few days before we were supposed to vote on them. So a lot of them include a lot of district leaders, including me and Aaron, were pretty upset about it. And we only voted to support the candidate who had been a candidate and reached out to us and like actually given us time to look into their background. And yeah, Aaron can talk more about his feelings on that. In terms of like state politics stuff, there was also a meeting recently that I don't think either me or Aaron were able to go to because they announced it very last minute. But there was a state committee meeting basically just to nominate Kirsten Gillibrand for Senate, and it sounds like not very much happened. Our colleague Julio Pena was there, and he said there wasn't really much to report. And for future state committee meetings, there should be another one in the spring, because we regularly have meetings twice a year, one in the spring and one in the fall. And the one that just happened last week was a special meeting. But so the one coming up, I'm planning to introduce a resolution that will be in support of the New York Health Act, which is single payer healthcare for New York State. And it would be really great if we could get it. So I'm basically introducing this resolution to help move it along. And our legislators in this district, including Assemblymember Simon, are signed on, and yeah, so we just want to support them. basically. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, thank you, Lydia. Aaron wrote in the chat that he's having trouble coming off mute, but Lydia covered all the relevant topics. So okay, move on from there. Next up is election of parliamentarian. So our parliamentarian that was elected back in October, Rachel Eve Stein, had to resign due to a new work commitment, some new work commitments. As such, there is an opening for parliamentarian. We did have an application form. No one filled it out. So in that case, nominations are now in order for parliamentarian. You can nominate yourself if you're interested.
I nominate Melinda Rasco.
Okay. Any other nominations? Any other nominations?
I second Ms. Roscoe.
Okay. Okay, I asked twice. Any other nominations?
Well, I had no idea that this was going to be coming up, so I haven't given any thought. Do you want to give people maybe time to think about it and see if there's any other nominations later in the meeting?
I nominate Joy Foster.
Okay. Oh, well, actually, I should have asked. Well, Melinda, you nominated yourself, so Joy, do you accept the nomination?
I respectfully decline.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, okay, so I'll just ask one more time. Any other nominations? Any other
I guess
nominations?
you didn't like my idea.
I'm trying to get through the meeting as fast as possible.
Well, I know, but you know, if somebody's going to be a parliamentarian, nobody has had a chance to text somebody and say, hey, would you be interested?
Folks had an opportunity to
I'm
do
just saying,
so.
if you're looking for more than one person, you might want to give people a chance to think. That's all.
Well,
Folks had an opportunity to
rules
do
is I
so
have to
because
say
it
three
said it in the letter and it also said it in the email.
Okay, well, you know.
Yeah, and also I'm supposed to say it 3 times under Robert's rules, and then okay, last time.
Okay,
Any other
whatever.
nominations?
I'm just saying.
Hearing none, nominations are now closed. Is there a motion to elect Melinda Rasco by acclamation? Motion so moved by Art Levy, seconded by Vicky Eastis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? In
Aye.
the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Congratulations, Melinda.
Thank you to the opposition.
This wasn't opposition. Don't assume.
I
That's
was
not
joking
fair
about
and
those
not
who
true.
raised
Okay,
their
thank you.
hand. Calm down, Joanne. I was talking
No, I'm
about
just
those who
saying,
did not
it
put
was
their
a
hands down.
suggestion. Nobody said
Mhm.
why, so I just said, asked that.
But
people
some
had time
people
to
did
think.
not put their hands down in time, and I was joking about those.
Okay, I thought
That's
you were
what I was
talking about me.
talking
I was doing something. I apologize.
Okay.
We try to be happy in this committee, you know, no fighting, no drama.
I'm not unhappy.
Okay, so congratulations, Melinda. So now we're up to committee reports. So next, I'm going to turn it over to Chair of the Committee on Rules and Regulations, Nelson Pecora. Nelson?
Thank you. So this is our report from the Rules and Regulations Committee. It's going to be a little long, and I'm going to go through a bunch of points. So please hold questions until the end, and then we can dig into individual points. So the 52nd ADC Rules and Regulations Subcommittee reviewed and approved 10 rules amendments proposed by members Seamus Campbell and Bill Orme. The full text of these is linked to from the agenda, and I believe Seamus might also be posting the link in the chat.
Just did.
All right, so here is a summary of each proposed amendment. Proposal 1, clarifying the name of the 52nd ADC. This change specifies that we're the Democratic Party's 52nd Assembly District Committee, as the Republican Party theoretically also has an Assembly District Committee. Proposal 2, clarifying the ADC headquarters. Party rules stipulate that the 52nd ADC must have a physical headquarters. This amendment defaults the headquarters to the residence of the chairperson. Proposal 3, Contact information for members. This change requires that the name, email, and physical address, phone number, and election district of members are made available publicly on the ADC website, so members and their constituents can get in contact with each other. Members may opt out of sharing their email address and phone number by informing the secretary. Proposal 4, add subcommittee chairs to the executive committee. This change adds all subcommittee chairs to the executive committee for easier collaboration with committee leadership. Proposal 5, add gavel order. We currently have no fallback rules if the chair or other leadership are unavailable or are unable to attend a meeting. This change adds rules to determine who chairs ADC meetings in these scenarios. The proposed order is vice chair, then secretary, then treasurer, then sergeant at arms. If none of these people are available, members will elect a temporary chair. Proposal 6, clarify chairperson duties. This change clarifies that the ADC chair is also the executive committee chair, which was ambiguous in the current rules. Proposal 7, remove outdated county committee rules reference. There is a reference to the county committee rules mandating standing subcommittees. While we aren't changing our mandate, the county rules no longer have this requirement, so we need to remove this reference. Proposal 8, add mechanism to help fill county committee vacancies. This change allows the ADC subcommittee on membership to recommend candidates to fill 52nd ADC member vacancies. Currently, we have no mechanism to handle these vacancies, so this empowers the membership committee to do so. Proposal 9, add mechanism to amend the rules. There is currently no mechanism to amend the 52nd ADC rules, even though these rules have been amended in the past, latest in 2021. This change adds an official mechanism to do so, and our amendment proposals today follow the process it lays out. Namely, amendments may be proposed by any member to the Rules and Regulations Committee, which reviews and votes on the proposal before bringing it to the full 52nd ADC meeting. In the full meeting, a simple majority vote will adopt the proposal, and the amendments will be effective in the following meeting after they've been adopted. And lastly, Proposal 10, clarification and restriction of proxy votes. This change clarifies that pen and paper proxies are only required for certain meetings, which is a requirement from the county rules. For all other meetings, proxies may be given digitally. This change also limits the number of proxies any one member may hold to 5, and establishes rules to prevent a member transferring proxies they hold to another member, except in the case where they already hold the maximum. In that case, they must also get the proxy giver's consent before transferring proxies to another member. Proxies are a powerful tool that can lead to undemocratic outcomes if not strictly regulated, and the Rules and Regulations Committee believes that these changes will help balance the convenience of proxies with the risks of their use while keeping in line with county rules. And that is the end of the report.
Is there a motion to adopt? So moved by Art Levy. Is there a second? Second by Karen Johnson. Any discussion?
Yeah, I had a question about making members' names and addresses publicly available on the website. Does that mean that any person who goes to it, or is that available to, can you make it like password protected or somehow limited to other members?
As I recall the rule, it would be that other members will have everyone's contact information, and then current ADC members can opt out of having their phone number and email address public. Their home address, though, is already public information from the Board of Elections. Any other question?
I guess what does it mean by, yeah, I'm a little, so I don't quite understand what publicly available. So anybody can go to the website, or is this a sort of a private website for the group itself?
Well, Currently, our website is public, adc52brooklyn at .com. It'd be effectively creating a page wherein the list of the members of the county committee are listed. And any member who wishes to not have their address will be public, but that is already available from the Board of Elections. And also because everyone petitions or is certified on. However, if any sort of phone number or email address, a member can opt out of that. So they can say, I don't want that. So, but it just allows for our constituents to also be able to reach us.
I see. Fair enough. All right. Thank you.
Joanne?
Two questions. One is the process for opting out will be clearly defined. You know, if somebody doesn't want their phone number or their email, you can imagine I don't want everybody in the world to have my phone number.
Absolutely. It's going to be that you just contact the secretary on an administrative level. I promise to, within 1 day after this meeting, send an email to everyone saying, please let us know if you want to opt out. And I will not update the website for at least a week. And so this way I can give people time to opt out.
Okay.
So this is Elizabeth, but to follow up on Joanne's concern, which is a valid concern, would it be better just administratively to reverse that to be that you opt in and which pieces of information you want in rather than opt out? Since everybody already has certain information that is public, we start from that premise and you add to that rather than have to subtract out from it.
I'm going to read that as an motion to amend.
Okay.
Is there a second then?
I second.
Okay, second. Or I saw Nelson's hand first. So okay. So now we're into discussion of amending it. Any discussion on amending this way it's an opt-in system? Any discussion? Any discussion? Oh, Nelson. Sorry.
I 100% agree that it makes sense to be opt-in, at least for the initial one. I wonder if it would be good to have it administratively have it opt-in for the initial setup, and then in future 50-second ADC groups have it opt out with the notion that when the group is set up, that is when this information will be shared, like to the members saying, hey, if you do not opt out, this is what will happen. Does that seem like a reasonable?
Seems a little complicated to me. A little contrived, but.
And also that would be considered an amendment to the amendment. So that actually, that's not in order. We'd have to vote on first the initial amendment before we can even touch that. So I'm ruling that out of order. No offense. Any other discussion? Art?
Yes, I think that opt-in makes sense and I support it.
Any other discussion?
I had a second question.
Oh, sorry, Joanne.
That's okay. It was, the other questions were germane to my point about the process. The proxy issue, I think it was the proxy issue. About transferring. What if, last year before the county committee meeting, I, of course, always go to the county committee meeting. And so I didn't get somebody to take a proxy because frankly, with a proxy, you say that you can't make it. And if you're planning on making it, then, and I had proxies, but because it got rescheduled to a time where I it was a session day and I had to be in Albany, I couldn't make the Monday at noon rescheduled time. And so I lost my vote. And I was able to transfer my proxies, but I wasn't able to do a new proxy because they had insisted that you submit your proxies something like 3 days before the prior meeting. I want to make sure that we don't end up in that kind of bind, because especially at the ADC level, I really think it's unfair for people to lose their vote if something happens and they can't make it, kind of thing. So I just wanted to raise that issue, and ensure that that was not going to be a problem here, especially with a, 5-person rule kind of thing.
It shouldn't be, because the rule also says that now we can also do, it's clarifying the allowability for us to do electronic proxies. The only exceptions would be for the organizational meeting and also any meetings that are basically to, well, replace you, though you are irreplaceable.
Well, thank you. But, I mean, that wasn't actually the rationale. It was, requesting the proxies by several days in advance,
But no,
which I understand for purposes of the ink signature. But,
since
how
it's
late
now
would people be able
electronic,
to
we
do
would be
that?
able to track who hasn't had, if someone submitted a proxy, if they have too many, and then we would be able to get in touch with that. If a person has too many proxies, we can say, hey, you may want to get in touch with so-and-so and say, tell them you have too many proxies. Do you want to, would you mind if I give it to this other person?
Okay.
Nelson?
Yeah, an important part of this rule is that the person holding the proxies can do the transferring as long as they get consent from the givers. So the proxy givers don't need to do any work to transfer. They just need to say, yes, okay, I'm cool with this.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So we're still on the amendment to make an opt-in system for contact information. Is there any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, we go now to a vote. All those in favor of amending so it's an opt-in system, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Please give everyone a second to lower your hand. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Okay. So now we go back to the full package of amendments. Any other discussion on the amendments? Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the amendments as proposed or as amended? Okay. Motion by Art Levy, second by Steve Olswang. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Or any nays, I should ask. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Okay, awesome. Thank you, everyone. And on a sort of a personal note, I will also mention that I wanted to give a big thanks to my sort of partner in a lot of these amendments, Bill Orme. He was very great in finding a lot of faults in the rules in sections that I had proposed. And at one point we were trying to work on quorum and proxy reform, trying to limit with how many proxies one can use for a quorum. However, we saw that we were usurped by county's rules. So that's a fight for another day, but glad to have a very good partner in that. So thank you, Bill. Okay, Committee on Public Affairs and Legislation. Melinda, you have anything?
Yes, thank you, Seamus. Hi, everyone. My name is Melinda Rasco, for those of you who don't know me, but I think many of you know me. I'm trying to look around. Yeah, I think I know my neighbors. Well, good to see you all. Again, my name is Melinda Rasco. You had elected me at our last meeting as well, you didn't really elect me, but I was the only one who showed up, honestly, to the Political Affairs and Legislation Committee. So here I am, but I'm happy to be here. I'm very, very happy to be here. So what are we working on? We have not had our organizing meeting yet. The good thing is we will. However, I have one thing to share with you all. I had started a group chat for us to stay in communication and for us to kick off the conversation to get started. So many of you might be familiar with the free app that does not share your phone number or your email, because I know some people are yeah, you want to opt out of that. We clearly just voted on something pertaining to that. So I'm going to share the link to that. 1 second. Sharing it. There we go. So if you want to join our ADC Public Affairs and Legislation group chat, you can. I'm going to also share my screen and share a QR code, and you'll be able, oh, no. Can I share my screen, Seamus?
Can you moment? I think. Can I make you a co-host and you do it? Can you share now?
1 second. Yes, I can. Thank you. I'm going to also share my screen briefly. It's loading. You all, if you're not able to click on the link, you can not take a photo, but share the link, and you'll be able to do so there. I mean, not share the link, but screenshot the link, and you'll be able to do so there once it's sharing. So it's sharing now according to my screen. And that will be where we'll convene and converse in between our Zoom meetings. So we'll convene via Zoom about public affairs and legislation related to our district, New York State, and beyond. There's so much that's happening right now with this being an election year. So you can definitely, this, hold on 1 second, hide this. So you can definitely get involved and share your ideas there. And like I said, we'll be having our Zoom meeting in the next 2 weeks or so. And I will share that with Seamus. Let me stop sharing my screen. And I'll share that with Seamus coming up soon. Hold on 1 second. Why can't I stop sharing my screen? There we go. There we go. And I'll share that with Seamus soon, and I'll also email it to everyone in the Public Affairs Committee, and you'll also be in our GroupMe chat if you decide to join. So definitely take part, join the conversation, participate. Like I said, there's a lot that's happening, there's a lot that's going on, and we definitely want to see you. And we definitely want to see you active, involved, and engaged. And if you have not done so already, sign up to rejoin County Committee. County Committee is great. As you already know, that's how you're here. Invite your neighbors to do so. Whether you're running through Rep Your Block or IND, we definitely want to see you. All right, so I will kick it back to Seamus. Good to see you, neighbors.
Thank you, Melinda. Okay, so next up is the Committee on Community Services. Beth?
Yeah, hi everyone. For those of you who I don't know here, I'm Beth Slade. I'm currently chair of the Community Services Committee, and I can just give you a quick recap of what has been done so far. So the Community Services Committee actually had, I guess it was the second meeting. The first meeting was me, Seamus, and Melinda. That's when I became chair. The second meeting met at the beginning of this month. During that meeting, we just sort of like, for context, noted that there's supposed to be a community services committee that meets at the county committee level. And we sort of reviewed what the mission statement is for that committee. And just so all of you know, the mission statement for that committee is that it's supposed to study and recommend action on issues like rent control, housing, education, senior citizens, law enforcement, and other matters like that. We discussed what we thought that the committee might want to work on based sort of like given that context. And we discussed a few things, but what I would say is we didn't come up with any super concrete ideas. We did come up with some ideas that we think had some potential. So I just wanted to mention those here for everyone's sort of edification and folks to sort of mull over. One of the things that got brought up was connecting with the business improvement districts in the district, so the BIDs. We thought that might give us a clearer sense of what some of the issues across the district might be and some areas where we could get involved. We also thought about how we could be like a force multiplier for good. So connecting with groups that are already working on issues that might be of interest of us, and sign on to joint actions, help get their message out, sign on to petitions, that kind of thing. Those are things that we thought could be like, easy wins, right? So like maybe keep us from biting off more that we can chew as a committee, given like our size and the fact that some folks are already connected to other things. we thought also about the possibility of just like creating a newsletter to provide some information and connection to issues for the larger group here. This would basically keep folks in this group abreast of what's going on and potentially connect you to things that you might be interested in and want to pursue further. And then we also thought about picking issues like just at the subcommittee level, the level of Community Services Committee, picking issues and maybe settling on one or two that we were really interested in, and then bring it to the larger committee to sort of discuss. So those are some of the things we talked about. Beyond that, we didn't come up with definite conclusions on how to move forward. We wanted to come to this meeting before we talked about scheduling a next meeting for us. I think what we hoped for was to just sort of like share out here what we've talked about, and then like solicit suggestions, comments, thoughts from folks in the larger committee, if there are any that folks have about it. And just as like background as well, like I looked at county committee to see what the mission was. As far as I can tell, like I checked with a few folks, including Aaron and Seamus and Lydia about whether or not the committee meets at the county committee level, and I don't think that they do. It doesn't seem that they do. I got a suggestion to check with other AD committees that are active. So like AD 44 and I think AD 57 are considered pretty active district committees. And AD 44 told me that this committee does not meet right now. And I'm still waiting to hear back from AD 57. So like in terms of like what we want to do, as far as I can tell, it's like open for us to kind of figure it out. There's no real guide other than what we decide we want to do. So that's it for me. And I think if anyone else, if folks have comments, like if we have time, if folks have comments, suggestions, thoughts, feedback, we're open to hearing that. And I do see the comment about the newsletter in the chat, so thank you for that.
Any questions or comments for Beth? Okay.
I mean, if folks want to think about it or something comes up, like please share out with Seamus and he can relay it back to me. Or if you want to contact me directly, that's great too.
Okay, thank you so much, Beth. Great work with the committee. Look forward to it, and of course, love the newsletter idea. If you want, Joanne.
For you to notice. I was going to say, I appreciate the report and I love the newsletter idea myself. I think that that may be a way to get people engaged. These are committees that even at the county level have generally not met, except for maybe rules and the nominations committee kind of thing. So that may give people something to do, which I think is probably an important aspect to engaging, is that people feel like they have something to do. And the newsletter might be that mechanism. So I think that's particularly a good idea. So thank you.
And if Beth, you want to help with the newsletter stuff, you know how to get in touch with me, of course.
Absolutely. And I will be in touch with you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so Committee on Intergroup Relations told me it has nothing to report. Committee on Public Meetings, they have still not been able to elect a chair at neither, so nothing there. Committee on Public Relations also has not yet been able to elect a chair. If anyone wants to try to get those committees off the ground, just get in touch with me, Seamus at seamuscampbell.nyc, or also just email the ADC I'll put the link in the chat, email in the chat at the end, ad52brooklyn@gmail.com. Committee on Finance, Vicky, anything?
Well, we did meet and decided that, and this is sort of pinging off of discussions at the last meeting, that really we are most comfortable with our role being not determining what we will spend money on, but being ready to support when and if this group has financial needs. We've obviously, we'll do some sort of housekeeping account so that there are funds should we need them for meetings, mailings, potential assistance with assistance to county committee. And yeah, that's pretty much where we are.
Right. Questions, concerns, comments for Vicky? Okay. Thank you so much, Vicky.
Yep.
Committee on Membership, Carrie, anything?
Nothing to report.
Okay, cool, great. Okay, so moving right along, record time, and of course I just jinxed it for everyone. So next up, so our esteemed assembly member, Joanne Simon, is going to give update on everything with redistricting.
Thank you, Seamus. I can't say as I can give you an update on everything redistricting, but it's still very new. As you know, the IRC, the Independent Redistricting Commission, voted on a set of maps. So right off the bat, we're ahead of last time because we only have one set of maps, which is great progress since the last time we had two sets of maps and could not get them to agree to one set of maps. So we've got one set of maps to talk about. In the city, it appears that there are very few changes, kind of tweaks around the edges, at least from what I could see. I haven't talked to every congressional representative who covers the city, but my sense is that they're pretty much the way they were. There were not many changes. I do know that the 10th congressional district will no longer include Concord Village. That will become part of the 7th, which is Nydia Velasquez's district. So Goldman will no longer have Concord Village, but it will go to Nydia, who represented them previously. So, I haven't heard anybody complaining about that. But it's still very new. So there may be a complaint or not, I don't know. I would say that there was a petition that went out, or a thing went out from the Daily Kos today about, getting rid of these terrible maps because they break up some counties. I know that one of my colleagues in the Senate has complained about a county being split. From what I sense, it's that area in the Hudson Valley where the map as it comes out would kind of appear to prefer a Republican in one case and appear to prefer the incumbent Democrat in the other case. And my sense is he's not happy about that. But beyond that, I don't know. So what we have is potentially, it's a concern people have suggested might be a concern, and that is, do we have a vote on these maps in time to begin petitioning along with everybody else on the 27th? I don't know the answer to that. I don't believe, I haven't seen that the map has been reduced to a bill. I believe, at least from the press, that I believe this will happen, is that the Senate will confer, that the majority leaders, Andrea Stewart Cousins, will confer with her conference. I know that the speaker has talked about trying to have a conference by Zoom this week before we get back, if possible. Some people are gone, of course. People sometimes plan that midweek break, mid-year break, spring break to go on a trip with their family. So I don't really know whether enough people will be available that he'll be able to have a conference. But that is a possibility. If that occurs, and if there's, people are generally on board, there could be a bill and it could be a vote on as early as Monday, which would be in time to begin petitioning. It is also possible that that doesn't happen. So I don't really know how that will go. It's very tight. We would have, I think, liked those maps a little bit earlier, but as it is, the IRC did lose a member, and that was Dr. John Flatto, who was very highly regarded. And if I recall correctly, he was the executive director this time. He has been both a commissioner at times, and has also been an executive director for both the city and the state redistricting processes. And so I think that probably set people back a bit. And he was very competent and highly regarded. And so I think he was probably a real loss. Not only, for those of us who knew him, but certainly for the work of the IRC. And so I attribute some of the delay to, I wouldn't even say it's delay. The court gave them until the 26th, and I'm glad they didn't take till the 26th, because that would have really been an issue. I do think that these maps are likely to pass because they're on the whole seem to be consistent enough with everybody's interest that they got a single map. The maps the last time were done by a special master who believed that things should be in chunks, and so you ended up with a chunk, which became the Nadler-Maloney race, which is really very unfortunate for the party, as well as for the fact that they were both chairs of powerful committees. And even if we lost the majority, they would be ranking on those powerful committees. So it was just a very unhappy circumstance. And also really not looking at the dynamics within a district. So for example, a county can be very different, one part of the county to another, in terms of the population, in terms of the demographics, whether they're racial demographics or other demographics within a county. So the notion that splitting up a county or a couple of counties is problematic in and of itself really isn't. That's like saying that we should be lumped in with Bay Ridge because we're in the same county, when in fact the interests are very different in different parts of Brooklyn, obviously. And of course, we have a number of congressional districts in Brooklyn because we're so large that wouldn't happen. But I think that parallel is true in other areas as well. I mean, you have in some areas a lot of farmland and also a lot of small towns with very different interests in terms of water, in terms of their representation in Congress and the interests of those areas. So I don't really know how this is going to work out, but right now we have a set of maps. My understanding from folks who have been very involved in this area, such as Jeff Weiss, who I know is giving some presentations at various times on redistricting. He's a really experienced, independent redistricting person that has been involved in many of these issues. And he seems to think that these are maps that are fair and likely to pass. So, relying on experts like him, I have a sense that may be the case as well. I don't have too much more to say. I just want to say, the maps are available. I know Amelia Descoudin did one in Google. I find that to be very helpful, but also they're on the IRC's website, and you have to kind of drill down and, expand the map up to see the various congressional districts in the city. If you're looking at the city in Westchester and Long Island, it's a much denser area than upstate. And so you have to zoom in a bit and expand the map. But I think they're fairly clear. And I would be happy to open it up to questions if you have any. I guess it's not controversial in the ADC either.
I have a question.
Tom, yes. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm very good. There's the thing that sort of really perplexes me about this redistricting process and how sad it is, with the balance of power so tenuous in Washington and so important in how the Congress is shaped. going forward? Shouldn't the Democratic Party be pushing for changes that are responsible and reasonable, but also, recognize that this is a democratic state and take advantage of pockets of votes to reverse what that special master did the last time around, which really favored Republicans, and as a practical matter, shifted the power in Washington to this mess that we're in now.
Well, I two things. One is I agree that is what happened. I mean, people forget that New York was in fact gerrymandered for the Republicans because the Republicans were in control of the state Senate, and redistricting comes out of the state Senate, is led primarily by the state Senate. And so New York was actually, even though we had more Democratic members of Congress, was really gerrymandered for Republicans to get them as many seats as possible. The registration in New York State is overwhelmingly Democratic, even upstate, for example. They don't all vote Democratic in elections, but in fact, it is truly a Democratic state, and I think people forget that. And so all the special master did was re-gerrymander for the Republicans. There were some funky looking districts that looked bad last time. I think that was part of the issue. They weren't, from a partisan point of view, actually were not inconsistent with the populations that were represented. But they were a little weird. That New York 3 was a little weird. But as you know, Tom Suozzi just won that special election. So now we have another Democratic member, and whatever happens with District 3, it's going to be more favorable to him. What's interesting is some of the arguments, and I think that's my colleague James Skoufis's argument in his concern about the districts in the Hudson Valley, is that they should have been more gerrymandered for the Democrats. There are also people already complaining about gerrymandering, and I'm like, it's not Wisconsin. Look what they just did in Wisconsin. For years, the Democrats would win 67% of the votes and get less than 50%. They only have 2 congressional districts out of 8, even though overwhelmingly the Democrats were voting Democratic because of the way they gerrymandered the districts. They have now changed that and made them truly more purple, and Democrats will have a fighting chance in some of those districts. So you could make that argument. I think a lot of people probably are feeling a bit disappointed. The question is whether there is enough disappointment there that will lead to us not being able to get enough people to vote on those maps going forward, which will then irrevocably push back the petitioning ability for the congressional representatives. And it could be that we shorten that time frame because there's some tweaking to be done. And if the legislature redraws it, the Republicans are going to go back to Steuben County and file another case in a county where there's only one judge, like what they did the last time. And we know that guy is only going to hire a special, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I just don't know.
But we have a different Court of Appeals now, and I would,
This is true.
I don't want to belabor the point, but I would defer
it's a good point
to what Hakeem Jeffries is thinking, and what the future of this country is, because we're in a mess, and maybe this is an opportunity for New York to make a difference in a good way, as opposed to what happened the last time.
Right.
Where we turned it over to Republicans. But good. Thank you. Thank you, Joanne.
Yeah. And let me say, as I'm kind of reflecting on what I've read, right? So I have not heard from my colleagues, and the Senate hasn't conferenced yet. And so it may be that people have very different opinions from what they've read or what they've looked at the maps and how they affect their districts or some of the dynamics in other parts of the state. I felt somewhat grateful that we didn't have a huge sea change in the 10th to just confuse things further. But I really don't know how my colleagues feel about that yet. So there's still a lot of discussion that has yet to be had. And this meeting is so early in the week, I haven't really had a chance to have much conversation before that. But again, I think if we have conference remotely. It's likely to be later this week after people have some time to digest and talk to their folks and stuff like that. But good question, Tom. All right.
First of all, Joanne, I want to thank you very much for this for your commenting on this. I want to ask a question which may be repetitious, and I apologize if it is. But the bottom line, as far as I'm concerned, is that in the previous redistricting, the Republicans had an advantage, a clear advantage. Let's just take example of Max Rose, for example. He was initially, for better or for worse, he initially had part of his district in Brooklyn, and after the redistricting, he did not, and of course, he had no chance. Now, what I want to ask is this: it may be repetitious of what Tom was asking, but does this redistricting with our new Court of Appeals chief judge, does this give the Democrats more than they had before? If not, why not? And that you may have already answered that. And if my question is repetitious, I apologize.
I think it does give us more. One issue that I know is might be an issue in our conference is the district that was Jamal Bowman's, which was actually a lot of Westchester, some Bronx, but a lot of Westchester. And depending on how that lay, there was concerns about, there is a primary there. There may be concerns of, reflected in the conference of people's support Jamal Bowman, particularly those folks who are DSA members. My sense is, from what at least I haven't heard a lot from that yet. So my sense is that whatever they did there may give something of an advantage to George Latimer, depending on how the vote turns out, right? I think that he's got a real strong base of support. And I think Jamal Bowman does as well. And they don't necessarily overlap very much. And I haven't really looked at that, but my colleagues in that area of the world know that better than I do. I think the other race that isn't real clear to me is whether, the Mike Lawler district, which is Rockland County, he won that district, and Sean Patrick Maloney had run in that race. And as you know, because of this loopy redistricting that was done, Sean Patrick Maloney decided to run where he lived as opposed to where he had represented before. That meant for all of these other things that changed, and you ended up with Nadler deciding to run where he lived as opposed to where he would have represented traditionally in the 10th. I don't know how that lays out. I think it's a slight Democratic advantage. Lawler has a fairly, at least in the assembly, had a fairly moderate voting record. He mouths off a lot, but he had a more moderate voting record after railing against this, that, and the other thing. In Congress, he has been less nonpartisan than he was in the assembly in terms of voting record, but he has voted against some things. I don't know how that is going to come down, but Mondaire Jones is running in that seat against Mike Lawler. That's another seat that I see probably some mixed feelings about, but I don't yet know enough about the folks in that district either to know what their feeling is on that. And I don't want to make up stuff.
Any other questions for our assembly member? Okay. Thank you so much, Joanne.
You're welcome. Thank you for letting me speak about this.
Yeah, no, it's a very important topic, and it literally impacts every single one of us.
Save
Okay,
the
so-
world.
Yes. So now we're at new business. Anything else? Or Ken? Or
This is
you have
Dawn
your hand
Party,
raised?
a member, to tell everyone here that we will be scheduling a meeting with our city councilman, Ms. Hanif, in regard to the shelter that is supposed to open in March, at 130 33rd Street. We're doing that to get more information about what the shelter is about. There are some members who they're opening it up on a Superfund site, which is problematic for the people who are going to live there. Other members are concerned that 400 is too large for community. We are not, I want to make this clear, we are not opposed to a shelter. But people are wondering whether a shelter of a more reasonable size, and have they done the right kind of examination of the area, since it is on a toxic waste site. So when we schedule that meeting, which should be in the next 2 weeks, I hope to join us to see what is happening and what the plans are as we.
Thank you so much. Vicky, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, I was just gonna make a motion to adjourn if there's no.
Okay,
new
so,
business.
Motions to adjourn are non-debatable. Is there a second? Second by Steve Olswang. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your evening. Okay.
Hi,
Good night.
neighbors.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.